I know you've heard it all before. Over the course of a large chunk of this console generation, as PS4 continued to crank out exclusive after exclusive, there was always that one defense used over and over by die-hard Xbox fanboys when the system's lack of must-have exclusive titles came up.
Well, you just wait until Crackdown 3 comes out. It'll use Azure Cloud processing and blow away anything Sony could ever hope to do. While you're playing your one-and-done interactive movies, we'll be putting hundreds of hours into Crackdown 3's sure-to-be superb and industry-redefining multiplayer.
Yeah, about that. So in early 2019, here finally comes Crackdown 3. And did it live up to the unprecedented hype that was placed upon it? Was it the PS4 killer it had been branded as? Was it the generation, nay, all of gaming defining title that the Xbox fanbase proclaimed it would be? Pfft, not even remotely close. First off, there's the story. You superpowered cop from future. You good. Big corporation bad. You do good. Destroy bad corporation. Make world happy. The end. That's the story. Crackdown 3 has less story to it than a 3-year-old's golden book. It has less story than the comic on the inside of a bazooka gum wrapper. Hell, it barely has more story to it than Pong. You get one decent cutscene in the beginning with the always incredible Terry Crews, and then it's all static art stills and radio chatter from there. Nothing ever happens that moves the story forward from must kill corporation. There's no character development that makes you give a damn about your character or the world you live in. Nothing until you get to the end game cutscene. It's a joke. Story is the bread and butter of every sandbox game. Without story, without plot, without character progression, you just paid $60 for a box full of repetitive, monotonous actions. You have to have story to keep you, the gamer, invested in doing the same thing over and over and over again, or you have failed as a developer. And that brings me to gameplay. Crackdown 3, like its predecessors, is an open-world sandbox shooter where you use various means to move about the map, completing missions using your various super weapons and gadgets. And like the previous games, it rewards repetition. The more you use guns, the more effective you are at killing with guns. The more you melee, the better you are at blowing up shit with your fists and throwing heavy things. The thing is, the game never really puts you into many situations where you have to switch between different tactics. Once you have a few gun kills under your belt, you can play through almost the whole damn game on normal difficulty with the same handful of guns you got during the first hour or two of play. And why is that, you may ask? Lock-on aiming. Somewhere in the development of this game, its creators seem to have realized, hey, we don't have to actually know how to build combat scenarios that encourage mixing up the gameplay style with multiple combat techniques, and gee, we don't know how to do decent AI either. This game is gonna be a cakewalk. What do? I know. We'll just fill every combat zone with a massive amount of enemies all shooting at you at once. That'll up the difficulty. Plus, it'll give our fanboys something to brag about when comparing this game to Sony's walking simulators that are just interactive movies and yet somehow take our superior skilled players 30 hours to get through a 10-hour campaign. Yeah, no, that's not gonna work, obviously. You know what? Screw it. Let's just add auto lock on and call it a day. There's no simpler way for me to say this. Crackdown 3 takes no skill. You just run in, lock on button, hold down trigger, repeat. Add in some jumping, a little bit of strafing, and you're good. If your health or shields start to get dangerously low, no worries. Every enemy you kill replenishes both. So don't worry about strategy, just run in and blast anything that moves. It's like 3D Robotron without the challenge. Now who wouldn't love that? Sure, there's variety in how you traverse the map. You can drive a car, but as you've seen here, that's pretty clunky to control, not to mention boring. It's honestly more fun to just super jump around everywhere. The only time the gameplay really deviates from that formula is when you're running around the big empty map, searching for agility power-ups and boss fights. But even with the boss fights, if you happen to die, no big deal. You'll just respawn and run back in there and, hey, would you look at that? All the damage you did to that boss is still there, allowing you to die repeatedly, whittling its health down until you win. They should have called this game Participation Trophy 3. Well, at least it looks good, right? No easy way to put it. The game looks like an upscaled 360 game. Yeah, the series has always had a sort of cartoony style, but you would think on new generation hardware, they'd be able to put in at least some more detail. But alas, no. Low detailed textures, random frame rate skips even months after it came out, not a whole lot to the animation itself, and a big empty world map. It looks impressive the first time you see it, but once you run or drive or fly around in it, you see it for the big empty static thing that it is. Like when driving from one map objective to another. You might occasionally have one or two random guys shoot a few bullets at you as you drive past. Otherwise, all you see are pedestrians and other cars. It doesn't feel like an actual lived-in place where there's always something happening around every corner. Grand Theft Auto, this is not. Hell, it's not even anywhere near infamous Second Son in either graphics quality or stuff to do on the map, and that game is 5 years older. The music is okay, I suppose. It has a sort of 80s futuristic Tron-like vibe that I enjoyed for the first hour or so, until I realized how little of it there actually was. What's there is good, but that's really all I can say there. The voice acting is good too, but doesn't really lend much one way or the other outside of Terry's performance. You take Terry out of the equation, and it has no charisma or personality to it at all. As for replayability, well, you can 100% the game in about 25 hours. But wait a minute, says the Colt Eastwoods of the world out there, that's what the multiplayer is for. Now see, the multiplayer represents one of the biggest frauds ever committed against the gaming community. It's right up there with Aliens Colonial Marines. Because when they first showed gameplay of Crackdown's multiplayer, talking up that Azure cloud support that was going to allow massive in-game destruction like nothing seen before in a multiplayer console game, it looked like this. Look at the fireballs. Look at the debris. Look at the mangled chunks of glass and concrete and steel girders falling to the earth. It's truly a sight to behold, and would have been quite a sight to behold
in real time being played at home on your Xbox One. But then the actual game came out and, well, it instead looked like the holodeck from the Enterprise, with destruction that looked like you were blowing apart styrofoam walls from the set of Tron Legacy. It was the largest visual downgrade of any game I can think of on any system. And what's worse, that wonderful lock-on shooting was carried over into the multiplayer too, devolving the gameplay experience down to hopping around, blowing pieces out of vertical jigsaw puzzles, hoping you auto-locked onto someone before they auto-locked onto you. No skill, no strategy, no fun. And those Xbox gamers that were allegedly going to be spending hundreds of hours playing it with their friends, they knew it too, because within 2 months, those lobbies were ghost towns. Crackdown 3 is nothing more than the poster boy for tempering expectations. Every fanboy out there should take a nice long look at it and compare the final product to the boasts made about it for years prior to its release and learn from that. And what should they learn? Never tout the greatness of a game until you've had it in your hands and played it for yourself. And that goes for all of you. Crackdown 3 gets a 3 out of 7. So how'd you like this review? I certainly hope you did. If you did, be so kind as to hit that like button. And why don't you go ahead and subscribe? It's good for you. Hit the little bell to make sure you get notified for every new video I make. And I will see you folks next time. This is 7th.